Okay, it is 7:45 and p.m. and I have my chicken broth that I put together this afternoon or late morning, and I did turn it off because we had to go out to pick up some groceries and do some errands, and I don't like to leave anything on like slow cookers. So I did put it on to warm, and I've just put it back up to high. And now I am going to be making some quick cinnamon rolls because we are going to have a bonfire with our friends tonight because there's been a bonfire ban on almost all summer. And we love our bonfires. And our neighbor has, her kids have a sleepover, so there's some extra kids in the hood. So I'm going to make some cinnamon rolls, and Brian made his famous ice cream cake. And so we've got that, and yeah, so I'm just going to jump into the cinnamon rolls and show you how easy these are to make, and they're so delicious. So I used to make these from my Jean Puree cookbook, and I thought I had the page marked. Hang on. And see, I put quick and delicious on these. I've been making these for years. This is the hardcover Jean Puree's Favorites Volume 1, and this recipe book was actually gifted to me from my Grandma and Grandpa Erickson, to a very special granddaughter, Tina, all our love, Grandma and Grandpa Erickson, December 1992. So that tells you how long I have been using this cookbook and this recipe. Now, having said that, this is one of my favorite cookbooks, and Mary Janet is from Cape Breton, and she's a lovely lady, and I have her 2 cookbooks. She has another one that just recently came out, and she is quite well known for her cooking, most especially these cinnamon rolls, and they're very similar to the Jiffy cinnamon rolls that I used to make. So I looked at the difference, and the difference with hers, and I've made hers, this is pretty much the only recipe I use now, but hers has a little bit more baking powder and a little less white sugar. Otherwise, the recipe here is pretty much the same as the one I used to use. But I really do love Mary Janet's recipe. So that's what I'm making. And yeah, they come together really quick. Yes, you're going to say hello. Say, everybody needs a little dose of cuteness. Yes. And cuteness comes in the form of Cooper. Yes. Do you want your treat? Okay, hang on. Oh, good boy. You're going to go in with... Good boy. Off he goes. Okay. So, now that all the fur kids have gotten their treats, I'm gonna move on to the recipe. And you're gonna need 4 cups of flour. So I'm just using all-purpose flour. And my oven is already preheating. Easy. Don't be breaking the ceramics. Okay, what's next? Now I need my baking powder, my salt, and my sugar. Okay. Salt, baking powder, and yes, I know my place is a mess right now. We've got some homemade dog food thawing, beverages for later this evening. Red wine for me, barley soup for Brian. Okay, we need 2 teaspoons of salt. I'm just using regular sea salt. You can use what you have at home. And 6 teaspoons of baking powder. Okie dokie. And then I'm going to give that a whisk. Little whiskey, you like to say? Next, I'm gonna need half a cup of shortening or salted butter at room temperature. Blend it into the flour with your hands. We're also going to need milk. So I'm gonna grab my milk. I think I need half a cup, but I shall come back to that. Milk. Okay. Butter. And half a cup. And this has already been softening because I knew earlier today I was going to be making these. So our neighbor has a son and daughter, and for the daughter, we made the, I'm be careful, I don't want to get butter in my rings, but Brian made the ice cream cake for the daughter as her birthday gift. Her birthday was a little bit ago, but it's been a busy summer. And so we just haven't had a chance to do it for them yet. And then the little girl's brother loves my cinnamon rolls. Now, ordinarily, I make my yeast cinnamon rolls, but I have not had time to do that. And I guarantee you he's going to love these. So the little girl gets her entire ice cream cake all to herself. She doesn't even have to share it. Well, we'll suggest she shares it with her brother and her mom and family and friends, but Brian made an extra one for us to have on hand for like nights like tonight when we're gonna have company over. And then the cinnamon rolls, I'm just gonna give the whole batch to our little neighbor friend, and I can make another batch for us afterwards, but that's gonna be his birthday gift because I know they're gonna love them. And what kid wouldn't love to have their own batch of cinnamon rolls or their own ice cream cake? So I want to have these ready for them, especially since they've got friends over for a sleepover, so they'll have some extra treats. Okay, next up, I'm going to need my milk. So just grab this measuring cup because the other one's in the dishwasher. So I have crumbled in my flour. So let me show you what I have done. Okay, so it's all crumbled up nicely. I'm gonna add, let's see, 2 cups of milk. So I knew I wasn't gonna have quite enough. So let's put another bag in. That's my little birdie clock, different bird every hour telling me it's 8 o'clock. We're gonna have the gang over in half an hour. So there's 1 cup. And I don't know what that is. There we go. I just realized I forgot to put in the sugar. So let's do that. 2 heaping tablespoons of sugar. 1 and 2. And one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of vanilla to the milk. I always like to add a little bit of vanilla to my pancakes. And look at it, I spilled milk. And to my cinnamon rolls. So I'm just doing a capful. So that's about a teaspoon. I'm going to pour that in. Now you just want to combine it all with a fork. It's going to be kind of wet, kind of sticky. That's looking a little bit too wet, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab my spatula. I prefer my spatula because there's still flour underneath the batter. So I like to flip my batter. See? All that flour. Okay. So there we go. I don't want to overwork it. So now it's time to roll it out. So I'm going to sprinkle some flour down. Drop my dough down. And then I'm just going to sprinkle some flour on top. And then what I like to do is just kind of get this rolled in a little bit of flour, kind of like if you're working with biscuits. You don't want to overwork it. Okay, and now I'm going to roll that out. I'm going to sprinkle on just a little bit more flour. And I'm going to actually flip that over. Whoops, that's fine. Just mush that all back together. You're going to roll it out just as you would ordinary cinnamon buns, but it's a much softer dough. I can tell that Brian's already got the bonfire on because I can smell it. So that's exciting. We love our bonfires, and it has been kind of weird not having bonfires this summer, but then again with the drought that we've had and everything else, it's understandable. All right, so now I'm going to put on some more butter. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to melt my butter. I know you can just spread your butter on top, which is what I normally do with my regular cinnamon rolls. But for this one, I'm just going to quickly microwave some butter. My kitchen is a disaster at the moment. So I'm just going to melt about 1/4 cup of butter. Okay, I just realized my oven was preheating at 350 and I want it to preheat at 425. So I'm gonna go ahead and spread on this butter. I'm gonna need some cinnamon. Walking cinnamon, the best. And I'm also going to need, what's my coconut? I haven't had a coconut for years. I'm gonna need my brown sugar. Okay, got the cast of characters. I'm going to spread on the butter, and that's probably warm, but oh yes, it is. That's all right. There we go. It's cooling off. Make sure your hands are clean whenever you are cooking and baking. That goes without saying, I am sure. Okay. Perfect. And now I'm going to sprinkle on some brown sugar. So I'm going to say between, I don't know, 3/4 cup to a cup. Okay. And then spread that all around. Make sure you get it right to the edges. Cinnamon. Brian's trying to be super quiet in the background. You don't have to be quiet, honey. Once you've got your butter, your brown sugar, your cinnamon, sometimes I even put a little bit of cardamom, which I love. And this, you can add little bits of apple if you wanted to. You could put in some walnuts if you want to. Yeah, raisins, whatever you like. But we're keeping it like this. And now I'm just gonna start rolling it up. A little bit wet in areas, so just get some flour on your fingers. Perfect. Push the ends in a little bit. Okay, ready to be cut up and put in the pan. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut these with a serrated knife. Butter this, or flour this knife a little bit. Now the recipe says to bake the cinnamon rolls at 425 degrees for approximately 18 minutes. I ended up baking these for a total of 30 minutes. So every oven is different. Just keep checking on your rolls and you want them to be nice and golden, and then they are ready to be taken out of the oven. Are ready for the oven. Now we're gonna make the glaze for these. So it's 3 tablespoons of butter, and we need 2 teaspoons of vanilla and 2 cups of icing sugar. That is not going to be big enough. So, you know what? Let's grab this. I'm going to melt this. 2 cups of icing sugar. Let's get that flour out of that. I can't even tell you how good it smells in the kitchen with my chicken stock in the slow cooker and these cinnamon rolls baking. They're already smelling amazing. I love these cinnamon rolls because if you just want something quick for a nice breakfast or a nice brunch, or just something to serve with a cup of tea if you've got friends or family coming over, you can't go wrong with this recipe. It's delightful, I tell you, delightful. Okay, so I'm gonna pour in my butter. And I'm gonna put in a couple tablespoons of vanilla. Teaspoons, not tablespoons. And Watkins vanilla is actually double strength, so you probably don't even need that much. And just a little smidge of milk. And let's Mix all of that together. And that's it. Mix it really good so it comes out smooth. And there's the most perfect glaze ready for those cinnamon rolls. So I'm going to set that aside. And here they are, the easiest, quickest cinnamon rolls ever. These are perfection. They are nice and crunchy on the outside, soft and fluffy on the inside, and you just won't believe how good these are. Now, the icing did set up pretty quickly, so I'm just dolloping on a little bit of that icing on each bun, and because the bread is so hot, they're melting, and then I can just easily spread them. But you might want to just make that icing just before you're ready to take your rolls out of the oven, and then it's an easier spreadable icing. But this works just fine. These were very well received by our friend's son, and I know that they are going to enjoy them as much as we do, and I hope you enjoy them as much as we do as well. Until next time, my friends, take care, and remember, it's the simple things that make life truly sweet.